Hey folks, welcome to your Grabs TV and Sicko Show. I am your host, the Matty Man. We're going to be trying some new things here, and I'm very proud to announce that I'm going to be doing some extra coverage. This time we're going to be doing Wrestling Revolver Epic Over Texas, which took place at the exact same time Wrestle Dream did. We had a few matchups in here. We got a lot to talk about here, and part of launching an entire channel means you need to have content. So I'm going to be expanding my coverage on a lot of things, and it's going to be a very short review. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to oversaturate and everything else. I mean, it's possible to do that even at a small level, but it's all good. It's all good. We are still planning our Roku channel launch. We're planning Apple TV. We're planning Samsung TV, iOS, Samsung apps, whole 9 yards. And part of that means that we have to expand coverage across all platforms and across a lot more promotions because, quite frankly, the absolute goal is to have something similar to Sports Center, to have an actual show that plays every night, similar to Sports Center. Not exactly like Sports Center, but you get the idea. You get the idea. We're happy. I'm happy. Things are coming together. Just finished up a little bit more paperwork today, so I thought I'd go ahead and give this Wrestling Revolver thing a shot because I get a lot of content to look at on a regular basis, and I make a decision of whether I want to review something or I don't want to review something. This is basically going to be results based, but I just want to start getting it out here, just sort of let Wrestling Revolver know that they matter to me. Basically, all of the promotions that I see matter. It matters, though, as to whether or not I can get good video, good work, good follow-up, things of that nature. I don't want to waste too much more time getting into it. Wrestling Revolver happened in Texas here on the 12th of October. We had a few matches in here. We had a PWR Remix Championship match between Lince Dorado and Ninja Mack. Then we had the Children of the Scorn going against the Dub Club, Vertvixen and Hyan. Then we had JD Griffey and Barrett Brown. And then we had from TNA, we had Moose, Brick Savage, and Jake Something working together. We had a sudden death scramble match. We had an MPX Championship match between Sky de Lacrimosa and Demo Diamond. We had a Revolver Championship match between Ace Austin and Fuego del Sol, who's actually one of the guys I follow from GCW. Also does a little bit of work in AEW. Then we have Mike Bailey and Paul Walter Hauser working against Matthew Palmer and Rick Swann. I can take him or leave him one way or the other. A little bit going on here, so let's just go ahead and hit the highlights here. Back and forth on the PWR Remix Championship match. Wrestling Revolver did hold its Epic Over Texas show Saturday night with Ace Austin in action. And, of course, if you get Triller, little cheap plug for Triller for right now until everything else starts coming together. If you get Triller, you can catch the matches. You can catch all the highlights. It was like 2.5 hours worth of wrestling. Pretty much worth everything that you spend on the indie shows. If you're not supporting independent wrestling, you're really not supporting wrestling. You're not supporting the next generation. You're not supporting what feeds you your superstars. Because I almost guarantee you no one is discovered in grandma's basement. And that's just a fact. Your great wrestlers do not come out of grandma's basement. They get out here and they grind it day in, day out, night in, night out. And they lay it all on the line. Even in these independent shows, sometimes they're only bringing down like $250, and that's barely enough to get you to the next town by the time you figure gas prices and hotels and everything else. So it becomes more incumbent on me to start giving them more airtime and more review time, which actually, you know, guys, if you pay attention to what I'm offering, then you will understand that I'm giving you more television time. I'm giving you more money. I'm going to be giving you a whole lot more than what you would get from anybody else. That's my, you know, that's my shtick, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not even joking. I'm getting serious about this thing. The paperwork's almost done. So let's get into the action here. We had a PWR Remix Championship match between Lince Dorado and Ninja Mack. This was a back and forth, back and forth. Of course, like I said, you can get into it on Triller TV for now. I'm taking shots at everything that walks, talks, and crawls right now. But at the end of the day, Lince Dorado was just a little bit too much for Ninja Mack, pulled out the win, and here we move on. Children of the Scorned and the Dub Club, this was kind of a weird match, but you know what? It's independent wrestling. I'm looking at independent gimmicks, and that's how you should look at it too. I mean, everybody's got to have some kind of gimmick to get over in the local town, and a lot of it is a lot different than what you see on the majors, because the majors have creative teams. A lot of these folks are just trying to figure it out for themselves because they don't have large creative teams, and I get it. It's all good. Children of the Scorn did defeat the Dub Club. You know, that one wasn't as close to the other one, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. Vertvixen went over Hyan in that match. I don't have a whole lot to say. I wish I did. As I get more into it and I start to understand more of the stories that go on, I'll be able to talk a whole lot more effectively. So right now, that's why I'm just going with match results. From TNA, Moose defeated Brick Savage and Jake something, 2-on-1. I'm guessing this was a handicap match. It was hard to make out some days. In your sudden death scramble match, not going to go through every little detail of that. Exodus Prime won that one. We had an MPX Championship match. Sky D Lacrimosa defeated Demo Diamond. Pretty easy going. Then we have my favorite one of the night, Ace Austin and Fuego del Sol went at it and at it and at it for the Revolver Championship. Ace Austin comes out on top, Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol looked absolutely impressive in this. And then closing out, we had Mike Bailey and Paul Walter Hauser defeating Matthew Palmer and Rich Swann, whatever. I mean, I'm not that interested. I'm not that invested in Rich Swann, but I mean, he's still a draw out in Texas. He's still drawing his local area, and I get it. I'd like to see everything clear up on him before I get really, really invested in things, because I want to make sure he's going to be around long enough to talk about. Reality, though, overall, when you're looking at an independent show, and this is something that I highly encourage. If you have independent wrestling around you, I absolutely, positively encourage that you go out and visit these venues. Why is that? Like I said earlier, this is where a lot of your future stars come from. But the reality of it is they're out there putting on a hell of a show too. If you've ever watched some of this stuff, I highly recommend for right now, at the moment, till my channel gets kicking out. Go with Triller, go with IWTV. Look at some of the stuff they've got to offer, guys. I mean, it's incredibly crazy. Some of the independent stuff is a lot better than a lot of the top end stuff too, because they put a lot more effort into it. There's a lot more heart into it. Not saying that they're, you know, going to go over WWE or go over AEW or go over New Japan Wrestling or TNA by itself. But they're out there putting that heart and soul and everything else into it. So you know what? It's worth a shot. Like I said earlier, this was just going to be a short review, and I put it out there just for that reason, just to have it, because I really think that once I get enough of those under there, I'll have some content. This is going straight to Twitter. It's going straight to YouTube. And so you can like, subscribe, share on the YouTube, like, subscribe on my Twitter. It's Graps TV. And same thing with Facebook, Graps_TV on all platforms, etc., etc. We're going to be covering a little bit later on tonight. We're going to be covering the Raw Go Home show for the Saudi show on Saturday. Not that I'm actually particularly going to be terribly interested in it because there's some other stuff going off on Saturday as well. Cousin Beef's going to be wrestling up in Pennsylvania. We're going to be covering that show. I think I've decided I'm going to cover that show instead because quite frankly I've got more investment in it. Beef's a friend of mine. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing a lot of work, following him a little bit, following his journey in independent wrestling, AEW wrestling, Ring of Honor wrestling. And so that's probably the one we're going to be covering. I'll have a plaque up for it probably like Friday or so. We're going to go through all the match stipulations, everything else. Hoping to get a little bit of insider on this to come back with some extra stuff. Be looking for Wrestle Center. Wrestle Center is, you know what? I've got a couple of names that I'm throwing out there. Wrestle Center. Grapsville, that's something I'm thinking about. Wrestleville, there's a lot of names going on out there. If you got any ideas of something you'd like to hear, like a name of a show, something to that effect, it's going to be something similar to Sports Center, only we're going to be covering all combat sports. We're going to be covering wrestling. We're going to be covering some MMA, going to be working with mostly underground promotions, see how that goes. But we're going to be covering everything. It's going to be a super show daily. Live on Graps TV, daily, 5 to 6 hours a day of just wrestling coverage. Bell to bell, wall to wall, everything that's out there. We're going to make it a mission at Graps TV to make wrestling as important as it used to be. For all platforms, all possibilities, whole 9 yards. We're going to do it that way. And I'm totally unapologetic about it. Very happy that we're going to be having all this. Thanks for joining us for this short review here. Once again, we'll probably have 3 or 4 more of these going through the night, give or take. And yeah, tell us what you think about them. I know they're short. I know they're direct. I know they're to the point. But they're quick. 15 minutes, we're out the door. And for that, I'm going to say goodnight, America, wherever you are. Thanks for choosing Graps TV and The Sicko Show. I've been your host, the Matty Man. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.